Édith Piaf was a French cabaret singer who became widely regarded as France's national diva, as well as being one of France's greatest international stars. Her music was often autobiographical, with her singing reflecting her life, with her speciality being of chanson and ballads, particularly of love, loss and sorrow. Among her songs are La Vie en Rose, Non, Je ne regrette rien, Hymne, Milord, La Foule, Le Cours de Copyright Honest, and Padam. Padam. Family. Despite numerous biographies, much of Piaf's life is shrouded in mystery. She was born Édith Piaf Gassion in Belleville, Paris. Legend has it that she was born on the pavement of Rue de Belleville 72, but her birth certificate cites the Hôpital Tenon, on December 19, 1915. The hospital for the 20th arrondissement, of which Belleville is part. She was named Édith after the World War I British nurse Édith Piaf, who was executed for helping French soldiers escape from German captivity. Piaf, a Euro slang for sparrow. A Euro was a nickname she received 20 years later. Louis-Alphonse Gassion, Édith's father, was a street acrobat performer from Normandy with a past in the theatre. He was the son of Victor-Alphonse Gassion and La Copyrightantine Louise Descamps, known as Mamentine, who ran a brothel in Normandy. Her mother, Annette Giovanna Milord, was of French descent on her father's side and of Italian and Berber origin on her mother's. She was a native of Leghorn, a port city on the western edge of Tuscany, Italy. She worked as a cabaret copyright singer under the name Line Marsa. Her parents were Auguste Eugenie Milord and Emma Saudi Ben Mohammed, daughter of Said Ben Mohammed, a Moroccan acrobat born in Mogador, and Marguerite Bracco, born in Marazzano in Italy. Early life, Édith's mother abandoned her at birth, and she lived for a short time with her maternal grandmother, Emma. Before her father enlisted with the French army in 1916 to fight in World War I, he took her to his mother, who ran a brothel in Normandy. There, prostitutes helped look after Piaf. From the age of 3 to 7, Piaf was allegedly blind as a result of keratitis. According to one of her biographies, she recovered her sight after her grandmother's prostitutes pooled money to send her on a pilgrimage honoring Saint Thur. Copyright Racé of Lisieux. Piaf claimed this result was a miraculous healing. In 1929, at age 14, she joined her father in his acrobatic street performances all over France, where she first sang in public. At the age of 15, Édith met Simone Marmont Batut, who may have been her half-sister, definitely a companion for most of her life, and together they toured the streets singing and earning money for themselves for the first time. With the additional money Édith earned as part of an acrobatic trio, Édith and Marmont were able to rent their own living space. She separated from her father and took a room at Grand Hôtel de Clermont, working with Marmont as a street singer in Pigalle, Mar Copyright Milmontant, and the Paris suburbs. In 1932, she met and fell in love with Louis Dupont. Within a very short time, he moved into their small room, where the three lived despite Louis and Marmont's dislike for each other. Louis was never happy with the idea of Édith's roaming the streets, and continually persuaded her to take jobs he found for her. She resisted his persuasions whenever possible, until she became pregnant and worked for a short while making wreaths in a factory. In February 1933, when Édith was 17 years old, her daughter, Marcel, known as Car Copyright Cell, was born in the Hôpital Tenon. Like her mother, Édith found it difficult to care for a child while living a life of the streets, as she had little maternal instinct, parenting knowledge, or domestic skills. She rapidly returned to street singing, until the summer of 1933, when she opened Étoile les Pins, Rue Pigalle. Marcel's father, Louis, whom Édith never married, was incensed. They quarreled and Édith left, taking Marmont and Marcel. The three of them stayed at the Hôtel au Clair de Lune, Rue André Copyright Antoine. Marcel was often left alone in the room while Édith and Marmont were out on the streets or at the club singing. The father eventually came and took Marcel away, saying that if Édith wanted the child, she must come home. Like her own mother, Édith decided not to come home, though she did pay for childcare. Marcel died of meningitis at age 2. Rumor has it that a Père Édith slept with a man to pay for Marcel's funeral. Singing career. In 1935, Piaf was discovered in the Pigalle area of Paris by nightclub owner Louis Leplat, copyrightee, whose club Le Gurney off the Champs Épaules copywriters was frequented by the upper and lower classes alike. He persuaded her to sing despite her extreme nervousness, which, combined with her height of only 142 centimeters, inspired him to give her the nickname that would stay with her for the rest of her life and serve as her stage name, La Mamie Piaf. Leplat copyrightee taught her the basics of stage presence and told her to wear a black dress, which became her trademark apparel. Later, she would always appear in black. Leplat copyrightee ran an intense publicity campaign leading up to her opening night, attracting the presence of many celebrities, including actor Maurice Chevalier. Her nightclub gigs led to her first 2 records produced that same year, with one of them penned by Marguerite Menot, a collaborator throughout Piaf's life and one of her favorite composers. On April 6, 1936, Leplat copyrightee was murdered. Piaf was questioned and accused as an accessory, but acquitted. Leplat copyrightee had been killed by mobsters with previous ties to Piaf. A barrage of negative media attention now threatened her career. To rehabilitate her image, she recruited Raymond Asso, with whom she would become romantically involved. He changed her stage name to a Père Édith Piaf, barred undesirable acquaintances from seeing her, and commissioned Menot to write songs that reflected or alluded to Piaf's previous life on the streets. In 1940, a Père Édith co-starred in Jean Cocteau's successful one-act play La Belle in Diva copyright Rent. She began forming friendships with prominent people, including Chevalier and poet Jacques Bourget. She wrote the lyrics of many of her songs and collaborated with composers on the tunes. In 1944, she discovered Yves Montand in Paris, made him part of her act, and became his mentor and lover. In 1947, she wrote the lyrics to the song Marie Curiste c'est que j'allais. For him. Within a year, he became one of the most famous singers in France. She broke off their relationship when he had become almost as popular as she was. During this time, she was in great demand and very successful in Paris as France's most popular entertainer. After the war, she became known internationally, touring Europe, the United States, and South America. In Paris, she gave Édith Piaf, the most important Argentine musician of folklore, the opportunity to share the scene, making his debut in July 1950. She helped launch the career of Charles Aznavour in the early 1950s, taking him on tour with her in France and the United States and recording some of his songs. At first she met with little success with U.S. audiences, who regarded her as downcast. After a glowing review by a prominent New York critic, however, her popularity grew, to the point where she eventually appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show 8 times and at Carnegie Hall twice. A Père Édith Piaf signature song, La Vie en Rose, was written in 1945 and was voted a Grammy Hall of Fame award in 1998. Bruno Coquatrix's famous Paris Olympia Music Hall is where Piaf achieved lasting fame, giving several series of concerts at the hall, the most famous venue in Paris, between January 1955 and October 1962. Excerpts from 5 of these concerts were issued on record and CD and have never been out of print. The 1961 concerts, promised by Piaf in an effort to save the venue from bankruptcy, debuted her song Non, je ne regrette rien. In April 1963, Piaf recorded her last song, L'Homme de Berlin. World War II. During the Second World War, she was a frequent performer at German forces social gatherings in occupied France, and many people considered her a traitor. Following the war she stated that she had been working for the French resistance. She was instrumental in helping a number of people escape Nazi persecution. Throughout it all, she remained a national and international favorite. Piaf dated a Jewish pianist during this time and co-wrote a subtle protest song with Menot. According to one story, singing for high-ranking Germans at the 122 Club earned Piaf the right to pose for photographs with French prisoners of war, to boost their morale. the Frenchman was supposedly able to cut out their photos and use them as forged passport photos. Personal life: except for the daughter she had with her boyfriend, Louis Dupont, at age 17, who died at age 2 of meningitis and neglect, Piaf never wanted nor had any more children. The love of Piaf's life, the married boxer Marcel Cerdan, died in a plane crash in October 1949, while flying from Paris to New York City to meet her. Cerdan's Air France flight, flown on a Lockheed Constellation, crashed in the Azores, killing everyone on board, including noted violinist Jeanette Neveu. Piaf and Cerdan's affair made international headlines, as Cerdan was the former middleweight world champion and a legend in France in his own right. In 1951, Piaf was seriously injured in a car crash along with Charles Aznavour, breaking her arm and 2 ribs, and thereafter had serious difficulties arising from morphine and alcohol addictions. 2 more near-fatal car crashes exacerbated the situation. Jacques Pils, a singer, took her into rehabilitation on 3 different occasions to no avail. Piaf married Jacques Pils, her first husband, in 1952 and divorced him in 1957. In 1962, she wed the copywriter Sarapo, a Greek hairdresser turned singer and actor who was 20 years her junior. The couple sang together in some of her last engagements. Piaf lived in Belleville, Paris, with her parents from 1915 to 1934. From 1934 to 1941, she lived at 45 Rue de Car copyright ZY in Neuilly-sur-Seine, France. Alone from 1941 to 1952 and with Jacques Pils from 1953 to 1956. She continued to live there alone from 1956 to 1959. In her final years she lived at 23 Rue Permil de Laudnortier in Neuilly-sur-Seine, France alone from 1959 to 1962 and with the copywriter Sarapo from 1962 to 1963 until her death. Death and legacy. Piaf died of liver cancer at age 47 at her villa in Place Gassion, on the French Riviera, on October 10, 1963, the day before filmmaker and friend Jean Cocteau died. She had been drifting in and out of consciousness for several months. Her last words were "Every damn fool thing you do in this life, you pay for." It is said that Sarapo drove her body back to Paris secretly so that fans would think she had died in her hometown. She is buried in Père-Lachaise Cemetery in Paris next to her daughter Marcel, where her grave is among the most visited. Buried in the same grave are her father, Louis-Alphonse Gassion, and the copywriter Sarapo. The name inscribed at the foot of the tombstone is Famille Gassion Piaf. Her name is engraved on the side as Madame Lamboukas died Édith Piaf. Although she was denied a funeral mass by the Roman Catholic Archbishop of Paris because of her lifestyle, her funeral procession drew tens of thousands of mourners onto the streets of Paris and the ceremony at the cemetery was attended by more than 100,000 fans. Charles Aznavour recalled that Piaf's funeral procession was the only time since the end of World War II that he saw Parisian traffic come to a complete stop. In Paris, a 2-room museum is dedicated to her, the Musée copyright et Permil d'Édith Piaf. On October 10, 2013, 50 years after her death, the Roman Catholic Church gave her a memorial mass in the Saint Jean-Baptiste Church in Belleville, Paris, the parish she was born into. In popular culture, Piaf's work and name can still be found in popular culture and music today. Numerous songs by Piaf are used in films and other media. Films such as Saving Private Ryan, Inception, Bull Durham, La Haine, The Dreamers and the animated film, Madagascar 3 and the Egyptian movie The Jacobean Building all have Piaf songs in them. Love Me If You Dare pays tribute to her song La Vie en Rose by including various versions of the song in its soundtrack. Musicians have paid tribute to her by covering her songs, for instance Johnny, to and His Parnage was covered by Valcondios on their debut album. Probably the most famous use of one of her songs was in the film Inception. Non, je ne regrette rien was used as a motif in the narrative element of the film. Furthermore, Piaf's life has been the subject of multiple films and plays. Films about Piaf. The film Piaf depicted her early years, and starred Brigitte Ariel, with early Piaf songs performed by Betty Mars. Piaf's relationship with Cerdan was also depicted in film by Claude Lelouch in the film A Père Maledif et Marcel, with Marcel Cerdan Jr. in the role of his father and a Père Malveillant portraying Piaf. Piaf. Her story. Her Songs is a film starring Rachel Bitton in her performance tribute to a Père Maledif Piaf. Bitton performs Piaf's most famous songs and describes her tempestuous life. Woven into the filmed concert is a luncheon in Paris, hosted by Bitton, in which some of Piaf's composers, friends, lovers, and family share their memories. These include Michel Rive-Gaish and Francis Lee, two of Piaf's composers, as well as Marcel Cerdan, Jr., son of the boxing champion who was her greatest love. La Vie en Rose, a film about her life directed by Olivier Dahan, debuted at the Berlin Film Festival in February 2007. Titled La Mamie in France, the film stars Marion Cotillard in the role that won her the Academy Award for Best Actress, as Piaf. Dahan's film follows Piaf's life from early childhood to her death in 1963. David Brett's 1988 biography, Piaf, A Passionate Life, was re-released by Junior Books to coincide with the film's release. Plays about Piaf, Piaf, by Pam Gems, Piaf Piaf, by Juha Silton and Jorma Wotin, The Sparrow and the Birdman, by Rachel Bitton. Commissioned by Theatraworks, Edith and Simone, by Ronnie Verheyen, PIAF. Her story. Her Songs, by Rachel Bitton, Hearts. Le Ballet des Cœurs, by Rachel Bitton. Choreography Michael Smuin, Set Designs Tony Walton, Costumes Willa Kim, Pure Piaf, by Alex Ryer, No Regrets, by Scotty Sween, Piaf de Musical, a Dutch musical, Piaf, Het legendarische verhaal van Édith Piaf, by Yves Casper, Édith Piaf Alive, by Flo Anker, The Sparrow and the Mouse, Creating the Music of Édith Piaf, by Melanie Gore, Tonight. Piaf, by Joel Rebu and Ted Galley, directed by Ray Michael, Piaf, Her Songs, Her Loves, City Stage, Vancouver, directed by Ray Michael, The Power of Piaf, by Lily Charpentier, starring Daniel Pascal, Edith, by Pluto Panasis and Daniel Pascal, Piaf, A Passionate Life, by Daniel Pascal, Himalama, The Songs of Édith Piaf, by Daniel Pascal, Édith Piaf on Stage, by Leslie Fitzwater, Madame Piaf by Stephen Quinn, Jagr and Genting / No Regrets by Anna Brimion Tour in Sweden, Édith Piaf, by Mandy Regai, starring Maria Elena Infantino, presented by Mega Mogula, Incorporated. Songs, 1925, Comme un moignon, 1933, Enter Saint Ouen et Clignanort, 1934, La Permel Tranger, 1935, Mon Apa Copyright Ro, La Java de Car Copyright Zig, Fais-moi valser, 1936. 1937. 1938. 1939. 1940. 1941. 1942, Jimmy, Kissed Louis Union Coin Tout Bleu, Sans y Penza, Un Monsieur Misut dans la rue, 1943. 1944, Les Deringaines, Y.A. Pardbrimps, Les Histoires de Coeur, Kissed Taujors la Mamie Histoire, 1945. 1946. 1947. 1948. 1949. 1950. 1951. 1952. 1953. 1954. 1955. 1956. 1957. 1958. 1959, Milord, Tis Beau, Tisses, 1960. 1961. 1962. 1963. Filmography, La Gare Section on, Jean de Lima, Montmartre-sur-Seine, Georges Lacombe, A Permel Toile Sans Lumière, Marcel Blisdeny, Neuf Gare Sections, Umkawa, Georges Friedland, C. Versailles Ma Copyright Théâtre Conte Copyright, Sakagatri, French Cancan, Jean Renoir, Marsica de Siembre, Sang La Vida en Rosa, the Spanish version of La Vie en Rose. Les Amants de Domaine, Marcel Blisdeny, Theatre Credits, La Belle Indiva Copyright Rent, Jean Coteau, Discography. The following titles are compilations of a Édith Piaf songs, and not reissues of the titles released while a Édith Piaf was active. Édith Piaf, Édith Piaf 1961, Ses plus belles chansons 1969, The Voice of the Sparrow, The Very Best of a Édith Piaf, original release date, June 1991, a Édith Piaf, 30th anniversary, original release date, April 5, 1994, a Édith Piaf, Her Greatest Recordings 1935 1943, original release date, July 15, 1995, The Early Years, 1938 1945, Volume 3, original release date, October 15, 1996, Hymn to Love, All Her Greatest Songs in English, original release date, November 4, 1996, Gold Collection, original release date, January 9, 1998, The Rare Piaf 1950 1962, La Vie en Rose, original release date, January 26, 1999, Montmartre-sur-Seine, original release date, September 19, 2000, A Eternal, The Best of Love and Passion, original release date, April 8, 2002, The Very Best of a Édith Piaf, original release date, October 29, 2002, 75 chansons, original release date, September 22, 2005, 48. Titles original, a Édith Piaf, not a copyright Grail complete 20 CD/413 chansons, original release date, February 27, 2007, a Édith Piaf, The Absolutely Essential 3 CD Collection Proper Records UK, original release date, May 31, 2011, there are in excess of 80 albums of a Édith Piaf songs available on online music stores. A Édith Piaf on DVD, a Édith Piaf, A Passionate Life, a Édith Piaf, Eternal Hymn, Piaf, Her Story, Her Songs, Piaf, La Mamie, La Vie en Rose, a Édith Piaf, The Perfect Concert and Piaf, The Documentary, Bibliography, The Wheel of Fortune, The Autobiography of a Édith Piaf by a Édith Piaf, Peter Owen Publishers. ISBN 0-7206-1228-4, a Édith Piaf, by a Édith Piaf and Simone Batut, published January 1982. ISBN 2-904106-01-4, see also, Music of France, French popular music, references. Further reading, Batut, Simone, 1958. Robert Laffont, ed. Au bal de la chance. Translated by G. Boulanger. Paris, Penguin. ISBN A978-0-14-003669-5. A Memoirs, written by stepsister. The Piaf Legend, by David Brett, Robson Books, 1988. Piaf, A Passionate Life, by David Brett, Robson Books, 1998, Revised Junior Books, 2007, The Sparrow Édith Piaf, Chapter in Singers and the Song, by Jean Lees, Oxford University Press, 1987, Insightful Critique of Piaf's Biography and Music. Marlene, My Friend, by David Brett, Robson Books, 1993. Dietrich dedicates a whole chapter to her friendship with Piaf. O. Par Relaches, by Jim Yates, A Permildition Dharma Lai 2007, ISBN 978-0-9555836-0-5. Piaf and Oscar Wilde meet in a pink-tinted Parisian purgatory. No Regrets, The Life of Édith Piaf, by Carolyn Burke, Alfred A. Knopf 2011, ISBN 978-0-307-26801-3. An in-depth and insightful look at Piaf's life. Piaf, by Margaret Gruland. New York, G. P. Putnam Sons, 1985, ISBN 0-399-13088-8. A Biography. Édith Piaf, Secrétaire publique, by Denise Gassion and Robert Morset, Ergo Press, 1988. ISBN 2-86957-001-5. External links, newsreel on Édith Piaf's life on YouTube, a Édith Piaf at the Internet Movie Database, Édith Piaf songs, genealogy of Édith Piaf, GAR copyright NAR Copyrightology magazine, NAR degree 233, ppA 30 €36, Édith Piaf and her Paris.